It could happen to you. I worked for a trucking company. Started in 1984. Just loading and unloading trucks. Within 5 years, I was the manager of the warehouse. It was a family-owned business, trucking and warehousing. When I got married a wonderful woman. In 2005, I spent most of the year in the hospital. I had collapsed. When I was in there, they diagnosed a heart condition. I was at Merrimack Valley. 2 weeks later, I woke up at Brigham and Women's. I figured that I would eventually get better, that it wasn't going to be a lifelong condition, and things never did. I was going through my money. My insurance lapsed. In the beginning, like the first 2 years, I was seeing the cardiologist all the time, seeing my primary all the time, and I started to have to pay for it out of pocket, pay for my scripts out of pocket. I was paying for my rent, my food. I moved to get into a place that was cheaper, and I was there probably 2 years, and the money was starting to run out. I just no longer had any resources. I was being helped out by the town of Hampstead. They paid a few months' rent. They agreed to continue doing so, but they weren't going to foot the whole bill. The people that owned the place, they didn't want to work with that, and it had gone to court, and I knew I had so many days to get out. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money to move my stuff out. I didn't have any money to put it in storage. I didn't have any money to move someplace else. And I didn't want to be a burden to anybody in my family. The afternoon that I knew that the sheriffs were coming and they were going to come and get me out of there and change the locks, I went to a neighbor's apartment and watched the whole thing. We went to a couple churches up there to see if they could do anything. Ended up at the Hampstead Police Department. It was probably, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And they mentioned Emmaus. I was grateful to have a bed and everything, but the whole situation with the open room with all the beds in there, it was an eye-opener. 30 beds in one room, it's probably 35 by 20 or whatever. Communal living. I wasn't used to it, and never thought it would happen to me. A lot of people say, well, you're depressed, and I'm not depressed. I'm angry as hell with myself. Being in this situation is embarrassing. It's just, I don't know. I really don't even think of what I'm going to do. I just want to get out. I want to get out, and I don't want to be living under a bridge. I don't know. There are a lot more homeless people around here than I thought there were, number one. I grew up in Haverhill. I can remember in the summertime, a couple summers when I was in high school, I worked for the highway department, and we'd ride through the downtown area and we'd see these guys and that were in the situation that I'm in now, and we'd laugh about it. And once you're in there, the help that they provide with the doctors. The nurse comes once a week. The educational opportunities that they have on, with the classes during the day and some at night. There's resume preparing. Just the general counseling. And their number one goal is to get you out and get set up on your own and be able to sustain it once you do get that position. Like I said, I'm very grateful that I'm not happy that I ended up here, but I'm grateful that I'm working with the people that are there. They've treated me great, but I like being here, but I love leaving. It could happen to you.
It could happen to you. Homelessness can happen to anyone. It happened to me. I had a pretty stable life and I lost everything in a matter of a couple weeks. We were together for almost 9 years. I was 17 when we met and 26 when we had split. I had my daughter I think was 1. My son at the time was turning 3 and I was about 4 or 5 months pregnant. We had our own towing business. We had a car lot and we had a nice house. My ex now at the time had went to Florida to meet someone, to visit his brother, look at like a business venture for us, and he ended up meeting someone. He actually left me with nothing. He gave me my clothing. And so to lose it all at 26 was really hard. I really didn't have anywhere to go. My father didn't have any room for me. My mom lives in Chicago. My sister lives in Florida. And the couple weeks that I stayed with my mother-in-law, she was selling her house, so there wasn't any options. I had friends that offered, well, you could come stay on our couch. But I mean, I'm gonna have 3 kids. I can't be living in someone's living room, sleeping on the floor with these 3 children. So I had to, tell myself, like, your action plan is gonna go into the shelter, wait till you have the baby, find employment, save, and get out, and get yourself on track. I felt like I was having a nervous breakdown because I was so overwhelmed with emotion, and there were times that I would cry for 6-7 hours at a time. I actually got referred to the shelter through welfare. It's scary because you're not in your own home, you're not in your own bed, you don't feel like you have your own belongings. You're just you're somewhere strange. It's not, you don't imagine, you imagine living somewhere for years and you're comfortable and you're happy and you have this life that you're accustomed to, and then a few months later you're living somewhere that's not yours with people you don't know and with your children, and you have to bring them there. You have to bring your newborn and you don't have like any of your things. You don't have like your bassinet and you don't have any of your things. You're really using what's there. It's just sort of a place to stay until you can get your own 2 feet on the ground. I remember writing in a journal when I was in the shelter that if the day came that I had an apartment, a car, and a job, it would be like winning the lottery because that's like really all the essentials that I needed. It was so important that the kids felt like they had a mom that was really there for them. And I didn't want them to have to, they were so little. It was tough. It was really hard. My kids actually call Emmaus the greenhouse. I always had music playing. We didn't have a TV, so I always had it was just music. So the kids would dance in the kitchen, I would dance with them, and we just that was it. And I don't even know how I really did it, because I figure most of the time we only left the couple days that I would go to build my resume. So I was spending 24 hours a day in this apartment with a newborn and 2 kids 24 hours a day, like, and somehow I just, I stayed positive, and we sang and we danced, and Emmaus gave me the foundation I needed to build the life that I have now. And had I not had anywhere to turn to, I'm not sure. I mean, how long would it have taken me to build a resume and save or get a job living off of someone's couch with my 3 kids? I'm not sure. I really believe that Emmaus gives families a foundation to start to build a life. Emmaus isn't a place to keep people in the system of like living off of welfare for the rest of their life. It's a start to help you, it's a foundation to help you self-improve yourself and move forward. Since I've left Emmaus, I'm not on welfare. I have a nice car, I have a good job, and really just, it's like a really healthy, good life for me and my kids. Like, I don't know, I go to work every day, they go to school every day, I have my health, they have their health, we have all the essentials we could possibly need. I think it's so easy to look at people and say, oh, you're homeless because you just don't want to work, or maybe I don't know. It's just easy to just assume that people are in that situation because of their own doing, and not that everyone's in a different situation. Maybe there's people in a shelter because their house just burnt down and they lost everything they had in one day. Does that make them bad people for being in the shelter? Is it their fault that they lost everything in a fire? Or, maybe there's a woman who just lost her husband and kids in a car accident. Like, there's so many awful things that go on, and there's so many reasons, countless reasons why people lose everything. And I think it's important that people understand that it's not just because they're in there for their own doings. It could happen to you.